Good evening. We'll call to order this meeting of Gahanna City Council for Monday, February 17th, 2025. If you would join me and stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance led by Vice President Trenton Weaver.
Thank you. As we gather, we are grateful for, appreciate, and use each day that comes before us. For each day's duties and in each day's difficulties, we are challenged to give our best always in service to one another and to our community. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Clerk Van Meter, would you please call the roll?
Bowers.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
McGregor.
Here.
Padova.
Here.
Renner. Here. Schnetzer.
Here.
Weaver.
Here.
All right, thank you, Mr. Van Meter. Welcome to all and happy President's Day. We do have one addition to the agenda this evening, and I'd like to thank Mayor Jadwin for bringing forward a presentation to recognize SRO Appreciation Day. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Mayor Jadwin.
Sure. Thank you very much. This is relatively informal. We have one of our SROs, school resource officers, with us this evening. As those of you who have children may know, there was no school today. So I think some of our officers are taking advantage of the day. But National School Resource Officer Appreciation Day was this past Saturday, February 15th. And with no school Friday and Monday, there really was not an opportunity for us to recognize them for all that they do in keeping our schools safe. I think we are very grateful. We have 4 officers from the Gahanna Division of Police that serve in that role. They spend every day, Monday through Friday during the school year I believe, Gahanna Lincoln High School, and then one that rotates throughout the rest of the schools in our district. I have heard stories. I remember my children graduating from Gahanna Lincoln High School 2010 and 2013. That dates them, not me. But I remember how important the school resource officers were for them. And I continue to hear stories from students, from families, both current and former, who talk about the relationships that they had with the SROs in their schools. They not only are there to ensure safety, they provide mentorship, they provide guidance, and friendship in many cases. Officer Blamer is retired from the division, but he works in our mayor's court every Thursday. And he is constantly contacted by students who now live overseas. And I won't even tell you how many years it's been since Blamer was an SRO, but it's an opportunity to really make a difference in a student's life. And we're very grateful that we have our superintendent, Dr. Tracy Deagle, who's here with us this evening. Thank you for the shout out to them on your social media pages over the weekend. We appreciate that. But to know that we have such a wonderful, strong relationship with our school district and our school administration, that they welcome and want our officers to be in their schools to provide that assurance and that comfort and that level of safety every day. For the youth of our community. So we're very grateful for all of you. So thank you, Madam President, for joining me in a certificate of recognition. We do have one for each of our officers. We have Officer J.D. James Gillespie with us this evening, as well as Sergeant Kyle Parrish with us as well. And I don't know if you want to invite any of them to say any words or not. I'll turn this over to you.
Sure, I'm happy to recognize Chief Spence or any member of the Division of Police that would like to speak this evening.
I knew Kyle would not want to say anything.
No, just a shout out to that unit. Sergeant Parrish is the first line supervisor for both the SROs and the community liaison function within the division. We've had a lot of challenges with the schools over the years as we've gotten much bigger. The middle schools we've got presence now pretty regularly in the middle schools. When we added the 4th SRO, it was part of last year's budget. That program continues to evolve, and I think the mayor said it best. We're there obviously as a deterrent, but also to act as mentors and leaders in the community. They hit it out of the park every day. I can't tell you the number of compliments that we get, both present students, past, those that have gone on to great things, who've always thanked our SROs for the role they played. So I just want to give a shout out to them. It's a great team over there. Certainly, we couldn't do it without the partnership with the schools. But I would also add, it's kind of a constant. It's not just, the SROs are kind of the face, but the community liaisons are in the schools quite regularly. Our investigative resources, I think we've done some training just as of late with our investigators talking about some of the dangers of the digital world out there affecting youth. So, and then certainly the front line, our field services, our patrol officers that are out there being vigilant to any situation that may arise, and also providing immediate aid to our SROs when we might encounter something on campus. So again, thank you to everybody. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to Council for recognizing them tonight. They do a phenomenal job. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Spence. And Chief Spence mentioned the great partnership that we have with Gahanna Jefferson Schools, and I want to recognize Superintendent Dr. Tracy Deagle has joined us this evening as well. I'm sure she shares the sentiments and appreciation for truly a community-oriented policing department holistically that we have, but especially with our SROs. I also wanted to mention this evening one of the things I learned about that our Division of Police is doing, while not SROs, Officer Kaylee Pertz has started a new program in the schools, is my understanding, to do support for students. And so I think that while we recognize certainly the designated SROs and their incredible service, we really do see this as the full department's collaboration and support to keep all of our students safe and healthy. With that, I will see if any of my colleagues have any comments to share. All right. We do have a certificate to present, so if you wouldn't mind joining us, Sergeant Parrish and Officer Gillespie, we'd love to present you with the certificate, and maybe Chief Spence as well.
Three, two, one. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. How are you? Thank you. We're just taking notes over. Yeah. We did, we booked it.
I love that they sit next to each other, too. It's great.
Thank you again for the opportunity to express our collective appreciation for all the work that the SROs and Gahanna Division of Police do to serve our community. With that, we'll move on to the second presentation for this evening, Sustainable 2050 Update, and we will turn this over to Deputy Senior Director Corey Weibensinger.
Madam President, if you don't mind, I'll just kick it off. So for those of you who are not familiar, Sustainable 2050 is a program that was established by MORPC, I believe 2016, 2017, to support their member communities' sustainability initiatives. They do that through direct technical assistance, collaboration, recognition. They help communities to benchmark where they are and then really work with them and provide them with resources to help progress in their benchmarking efforts. The city of Gahanna was one of the first Sustainable 2050 communities. There was an ordinance or resolution passed back in 2017 to join Sustainable 2050, and the city was awarded silver status in 2018. Over the past year, my administration has began the process of working with MORPC to benchmark where we currently are in our sustainability efforts with the goal of advancing our certification to the next level. After working on this project for nearly a year, we were both excited and honored last week to be recognized by MORPC. Morpsey, Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, and achieving Gold Plus Equity Champion status as a member of Sustainable 2050. Director Weibensinger will be presenting to you this evening, but I would like to give special recognition to several members of our team who have been working very diligently on this, and they've devoted substantial hours to gathering and providing information. There's a very detailed process that you have to go through with Morpsey, a very detailed workbook. You have to provide documentation of everything that you've done. Director Weibensinger certainly has been leading that initiative, but we also have Management Analyst 2 and our Grants Administrator, Mara Hunter, who has just done a yeoman's job of really pulling this together and getting us over the finish line. And then also to Matt Goodhart, who was with us over the summer. Matt was a Morpsey intern and actually is graduating in about 90 days. His goal is to work in planning, but he has a very passionate interest in sustainability. So he took great appreciation for the project, and we had him at Morpsey last week, along with both Mara Hunter and Director Weibensinger. I know Councilman Weaver, as a member of Morpsey, was there as well. So I was thrilled to have him there to celebrate this moment with us. I would also like to express my gratitude to Director of Sustainability of Morpsey, Brandy Whetstone. She truly was just incredible with the level of assistance and guidance that she provided to us as we worked through this process. And she really is doing a yeoman's job of leading the sustainability initiatives in the region. As Vice Chair of the Sustainability Advisory Committee, we rely heavily on Brandy, but she just really does a phenomenal job for our region. In a few moments, Director Weibensinger is going to walk through what the process looked like, what the workbook looked like, work that we have been doing here at the city that led to us being able to achieve this next level of certification. As we've gone through this process, it became very clear that our ability to move from that silver to gold plus standard was not based on any one project. It really is more reflective of a mindset as to how we are doing business here in the city and how we will continue to do business going forward. Some of the littlest things that we can do, switching from gas-powered equipment to electric battery-powered equipment, makes a difference. The air quality monitoring that we do. There are many things as we got through this process and we realized, wow, we're already doing that. Things that we may not immediately think of as leading to sustainability, but are indeed contributing toward our ability to move toward a cleaner, greener Gahanna for all. So with that, Director Weibensinger, if you'd like to, I'll turn this over to you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You might have stolen a lot of my thunder, so you might hear some repetition, but that's not a bad thing. Good evening, Council. Thank you for the opportunity to present today. I'm here to update you on a milestone here in the city for sustainability. Again, I would like to acknowledge our former Morpsey intern, Matt Goodhart. They were instrumental when they were here over the summer of helping me get this workbook completed. It's a massive undertaking to apply for this recertification. And then we were able to hand off to help finish that when we onboarded our grants analyst, Mara Hunter, who's here this evening with us as well. And she really helped us get it through the finish line. So we were able to work through November into December for the recertification, and then able to attain that recertification recently this week through Morpsey. So as you know, sustainability is a long-term investment in our community's health, economy, and quality of life. Through our participation in programs such as Morpsey Sustainable 2050, we're making significant strides towards regional sustainability goals. Sustainable 2050 is a voluntary certification program through Morpsey that helps local governments understand and implement sustainable policies and practices. Objectives and goals established through the Regional Sustainability Agenda are the foundation of its guidance. Back in 2017, Council passed a resolution committing the city to the Sustainable 2050 program. Previously, it was referred to as the Green Pact. About a year later, the city of Gahanna became one of the first 5 governmental entities to earn a certification. We received a silver status. You may have noticed the sign is actually displayed on Route 62, just west of the Veterans Memorial when you come in. I might drive by it multiple times a day. Now, I'm proud to report that as of this month, within the last week exactly, we've officially been upgraded to the gold certification, marking a significant achievement in our sustainability journey. There is a rigorous scoring system of 145 possible points to achieve. It is a massive undertaking and a massive workbook comprised of categories and strategies, all of which take a lot of time for verification before our submission. Our interns started the recertification process over the summer, and with the addition of Ms. Hunter in the fall, we were able to get everything submitted to MORPC by November. It took a few months to get through the review process. We did a presentation, or MORPC did a presentation on our behalf at the Sustainable Advisory Committee in December, which then pushed forward for the certification process in January. The workbook will be placed on our website. We currently, since 2019, have had the silver workbook there. We will be replacing that so you can see all of the goals that we achieve in areas that we can still look forward to. Our efforts align with 4 core goals of Sustainable 2050: improving air quality and reducing climate change impacts, protecting and preserving natural resources, enhancing quality of life by fostering equitable and sustainable communities, promoting inclusive, sustainable growth and development. To reach the gold status, we have continued to implement initiatives over time. This isn't just a one project and you're done type approach. In our presentation in December to MORPC, MORPC highlighted some of the more well-known or transformative projects. This project would include community choice aggregation, accessing public recycling, our capital improvement plan, or the CIP, along with our Parks Master Plan, and the reimagining of 825 Tech Center Drive for the new municipal complex. In 2024, we joined Sustainable Ohio Public Energy Council, or SOPAC, and launched our first community aggregation program, Gahanna Energy Plus. As of earlier this month, we have over 9,000 customers enrolled, with less than 500 that have elected to opt out. This program provides residents and small businesses access to sustainable energy options, reducing our community's carbon footprint. Expanding public recycling with SWACO. Through 2 SWACO grants, we added temporary vent containers and 30 new recycling receptacles across Creekside and into 17 parks. We also acquired a solar compactor to increase efficiency in waste management. And repurposing of an existing office building for our new municipal complex, reducing the environmental impact of new construction. We also were a recipient of the Department of Energy's Energy Efficiency Community Block Grant, which I always refer to as EECBG, because it's fun to say, which is a reduction of cost of retrofitting energy-efficient LED lighting at the facility. Also in 2024, our partnership with Power Clean Future Ohio, or PCFO, has allowed us to complete a greenhouse gas inventory, a key step in measuring and reducing our emissions, which ties to our commitment to a 50% greenhouse gas emission reduction from 2010 levels by 2030. The city was recognized with 2 awards for our commitment to renewable energy and climate action, reinforcing Gahanna's leadership in sustainability. The greenhouse gas inventory will have a more in-depth update as we continue to work with PCFO on future initiatives. Essentially, the greenhouse gas inventory identifies that the 23 data indicates we're 12% below the 2010 baseline that we were able to establish. During COVID, we peaked at a 27% below the baseline. Community choice aggregation has not been factored into this data as of yet, but PCFO estimates that a 10 to 25% reduction once fully implemented. Competing with anticipated population growth and increased economic activity in our area, reaching the goal of 50% reduction of greenhouse gas emissions from 2010 will take some work that our staff have already been building on, and we are woven into the fabric of our processes. We have completed an assessment and are working to improve citywide EV charging infrastructure. This includes our 6 current public EV charging stations with the expansion of the 825 project. We have introduced the city's first electric vehicle into our fleet, taking advantage of the IRA tax credits. These credits have allowed us to install a charger within our secured fleet garage and begin EV certification training for fleet technicians. Sustainability is something our city is highly familiar with. Beyond some of the more known projects, we continue to advance sustainability through things like urban beekeeping and pollinator protection, partnerships with Morpsey and Swaco, food waste composting, equipment replacement strategies, urban tree canopy expansion, water conservation and smart metering through our utility billing, LED streetlight conversions, roundabouts, and smart traffic signals. Like the previous weekend at 62 and Stigler, those smart signals will help reduce emissions through reducing idling. Our gold certification in Sustainable 2050 is a milestone, but we know we're not done. Looking ahead, we will continue to innovate, expand our sustainability efforts, and seek funding opportunities for cleaner, greener Gahanna. I welcome any questions you may have.
Thank you, Director Weibensinger. I'll turn it over to my colleagues for any questions. Mr. Schnetzer.
Thank you, President Bowers. Thank you, Mr. Weibensinger, and congratulations on these efforts. Just a question, anything within the grid that Morpsey has put together that touch on like sustainable finance? And I'll give a couple of examples that just come to mind. I'm sure my colleagues, Mrs. McGregor and Mr. Renner, remember when we did the LED light conversion, and there was like literal savings that were shown over this, course of a couple of years, where we were able to use those monies for other programs. Another one you mentioned, which would be like 825, where instead of buying a lot and building from the ground up, you're repurposing an existing building. Obviously, that's a money saver. Anything within the grid or anything that just maybe comes to mind that you would want to share with the group on those topics?
Within the grid itself, some of the subcategories that is taken into consideration when they do a level of scoring, because each category can have anywhere from 1 to 4 points depending on how in depth we go. It is something that Morpsey pointed out a few times was our ability or aggressiveness to go after funding for sustainable initiatives. Something that we work on, Mara and I work on a daily basis of trying to find money for the programs we do. And over the last year and a half, there's been quite a few potential opportunities for things in the sustainability realm, especially working with 825 Tech Center has a lot of opportunities there as well, along with our EV infrastructure and things of that nature.
Perfect. Thank you.
Mr. Weaver.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Director. Just want to share that I was very pleasantly surprised by the news going to Morpsey on Thursday, and it was a delight having city staff join us as well at Morpsey for the recognition. I'm excited by this because I think it shows our commitment to moving the needle and doing our part for our little corner of the world. And so I'm looking forward to what's next. Don't have any questions, just wanted to express my gratitude to you and the administration for continuing to move forward. Certainly, last year was a big year with green energy aggregation. Looking forward to future. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, Mrs. Jones.
Yeah, first, just congratulations to all. So I think the chart you had before, I think there's a gold and then platinum status, and maybe too soon, but are we how do we get now to then platinum? And I guess, do we have a game plan of getting to platinum?
Yeah, let me grab that chart real quick here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we ended up around, my rough numbers, around 90-some points. We need 109 to get to the platinum status. It's something we're certainly within reach. A lot of the initiatives that Director Schultz are working on through the 825 project are going to help us bridge some of that. Areas where we need to continue to expand would be like alternative energy through solar power, wind power, things of that nature, which with some of that going at that project there could benefit us in that realm. We did work with MORPC on their solar recess program. It's just something that didn't come to fruition to help offset potential cost of solar panels. We are working, Mara and I worked even today, there was a deadline for an advanced energy fund to try to help offset some of those costs as well. It's a competitive market. There's a lot to it, but it doesn't mean we're not, trying to make sure we're pushing these goals forward, but also being, conservative with the funding that we have available as well.
Okay. And the workbook, is that something that we, I guess, do we have to do that every year or something to keep gold, or we let
Only
gold
when we
and we're good?
recertify. Yeah,
Okay.
the initiatives we have, or most of the initiatives that we get credit for are ongoing initiatives. They're either built into policy or they are firm initiatives that don't drop off relatively easy. Now, if we did when we do the recertification for platinum, we will have to reevaluate everything from scratch again. But this isn't something we have to do annually. It's only when we want to get recertified.
Thank you.
Just to piggyback on that question, Director, the Sustainable 2050 workbook that's currently posted on the website, I believe that's the 2019
Yeah, that's the
workbook?
silver status. We are working to finalize the gold to replace that, to make sure the updated one is on there. Now, the current one, we are one of two entities that received what they call the Equity Champion, us in the city of Columbus. So in that workbook, you'll be able to also see a little asterisk next to what makes us an equity champion, meaning things that are more accessible to all members of the public as opposed to things that are more secluded.
When that's complete, would you be able to come back in front of council so that we can review that and discuss it with you?
The workbook itself?
Yeah.
We can. It's a massive document, but yeah.
It's not a couple of pages.
Okay, because I was just looking at the one that's posted. It's 8 pages
Yeah,
that's
this one is more
posted.
intense than that. And when we were leaving MORPC, Ms. Whetstone did ask if they're in the process of actually revamping it again. We were one of the last ones to get in under this workbook to update it through the regional sustainability agenda, and asked if Gahanna could participate in helping build the next wave of what that regional sustainability agenda or the process workbook looks like.
Yeah, I think, I asked because I think this is really exciting, and I think that this really can inform policy and budget decisions. And so the more that we can collaborate with you, or at least be aware of sort of what the rubric is, what the components are, I really think that that's going to be informative for us and for the public in terms of how we're prioritizing policy and funding.
Okay.
You've done a great job at mentioning some things already, and some of those things, have certainly been championed by council, and we're really grateful that the administration has run with that as well. You guys have done a great job. It's great to hear about the EV vehicles. I know that this has been a long time in the works. I remember that from probably almost 10 years ago now that was a concept that was being floated. So that's great to hear that a lot of this is taking shape, and congratulations on all the work. Thank you to you and to Ms. Hunter, and I'll see if any of my colleagues have any further comments this evening. Yes, Mrs. Padova.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for your work on this. This is really exciting to be boosted up to the gold status here. You said that we don't recertify every year, just when we want to?
Correct, it's not
So
it's not
how-
an annual recertification. Once you achieve a status, then you maintain that status. So we achieved
Okay.
the silver status in 2018 by proving to them in 2018 that we have these, these policies in place, these projects. And then we decided, with the addition of our MORPC intern and with Mara, we were able to then kind of tackle the workbook in order to essentially get credit for all the things that we've been doing, and to be able to get recognition for that, but also, kind of setting the stage and refreshing that this is important, and we want to make sure that we're having these conversations as we continue to push forward to the platinum status.
Okay, so we wouldn't do a recertification until we were wanting to get to the platinum
Correct.
status. Is that,
Yeah.
am I understanding that correct? Okay. And then going into did you say that the aggregation was considered in this, or?
Was not considered in
Okay.
you're talking about the greenhouse gas inventory?
Yeah.
Yeah, the numbers are not in there. Based on a fully implemented plan, PCFO indicates we would expect anywhere from another 10 to 25% reduction from that baseline.
Okay, but because there's lots of different like categories and things, that alone wouldn't push us into the,
Correct.
okay.
Yeah, so there's not, I think as I was talking through with staff today, there's not like a magic one-stroke paintbrush that fixes everything. This is something that has to be woven into consideration in all of our projects. Not that it hasn't been. I shared a dozen or so, but there's a lot more ways that we have incorporated things into what I consider like the DNA. But it's going to continue to take more work in this space with our commitment to the goal in 2030.
Thank you. I appreciate you kind of speaking to that a little bit more, of that this isn't just a, check off these three things and then we move on to the
Correct,
next
yeah.
level, but really to work it in to make sure everyone is paying attention to different little ways that they can move the needle. So hopefully all the other cities and towns will be doing the same, work together, right? Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
And just a clarifying question to follow up on that. So I think Ms. Padova was asking about the PCFO study in terms of aggregation not being fully implemented in order to realize the greenhouse gas emission reduction on the green chart.
Yeah, the chart up there. Yeah, so we're sitting around 12% less than the 2010 baseline that we established.
Yeah.
A fully implemented plan, we would anticipate that to be, this is rough numbers, but, 22 to 37%. We are battling, other factors as well with increased population growth, economic activity. Those continue to put pressure on it as well.
But just to clarify, so I'm just all I have in front of me is the 2019 workbook, and one of the items in the 2019 workbook was to increase the number of local renewable energy projects and generating capacity. And that one of those subcomponents included participate in a regional procurement initiative. So what is Gahanna Energy Plus? Was that taken into consideration for our MORPC Sustainable 2050 status? I see Mara nodding her head yes.
I guess a clarification would be what the data, you mean for the scoring matrix that we have?
Yeah, so
Yes,
was that taken
yes,
into
yes.
consideration in order to attain the Gold Plus status?
Correct, yes,
Okay, perfect.
yes.
Thank you for clarifying
Sorry,
that.
I was stuck on this chart.
It's okay. No, I get it. I think that's why I wanted to clarify that we did get credit
Correct,
essentially
yes.
for
That
Gahanna
is- that
Energy
accounts
Plus.
for us
Talking about
going
two
up to
different
around
things.
the
So
same
the
place.
program, not the emissions.
Correct. So for purposes of achieving the Gold Plus Equity Champion status, the community aggregation was factored into those calculations, and that was one of the projects, as Director Weibensinger said earlier, that MORPC gave an example when in highlighting at least 4 projects that we've done. The green gas inventory, the Director Weibensinger was talking about, the aggregation numbers are not reflected in that at this time.
Great, thank you. Mr. Renner?
I
I don't have anything to really add. It's, congratulations on it. I'm definitely, as you know, very interested in hearing more about what we're going to do going forward. I've already been publicly talking about some of the initiatives that I'd like us to do, but I'll just wait to hear what the administration wants to do.
Thank you, Mr. Renner. All right, congratulations again to all involved in this. This is great for our community, great for our environment, and certainly helps Gahanna shine regionally as a leader in this front. So congratulations and thank you for all of your work on this.
Thank you.
All right, next up, hearing of visitors. We do have one speaker slip this evening from Patricia Kovacs. Ms. Kovacs, if you'd like to come up, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes for your remarks this evening.
Yeah, hi, I'm Patricia Kovacs. I live at 527 Haversham Drive, which is over by Foxborough Pool. I lost my voice. I'm getting over the flu, but it's been 2 weeks. I don't think I'm contagious. But I'm here to talk about the change to the zoning about pedestrian accessibility. I recently met Monica Plusinski. She lives on Johnstown Road, East Johnstown Road, sort of across from the Stony Brook parking lot. Not the one in Cherry Bottom, but that big parking lot. Anyway, she was trying to get a carport, and during this process, they told her that she would have to give up to 20 feet of right-of-way on her front yard, because in the future, I think we're going to put a bike path along Johnstown Road. So the other thing she was told was that she had to pay for the engineering study to build this side path. So I think maybe with this change that you guys are going to be talking about today is going to fix that problem, but it's not clear to me. But I was very surprised. First of all, I thought it followed the sidewalk plan that we've been doing, where everyone's supposed to pay for their own sidewalk upgrades and maintenance. But I didn't realize that people had to pay for new sidewalks, because in the past, say Flint Ridge and Shull, those sidewalks were paid for with either Safe Routes to Schools or capital funding. And the bike paths we've added on Hamilton and Johnstown have also been either like grants when we widened Hamilton Road, things like that. So I was surprised that individual property owners, residential property owners, would have to pay for that. So I hope this new thing is, and I'm not against, like, if we want to add a sidewalk to a street, maybe it's okay to make the property owner pay for it. I happen to live on one that already has sidewalks, so. And you know me, I want sidewalks everywhere, because I grew up in a suburb that had sidewalks on every single street, and I was amazed when I came to Gahanna and see all these Johnstown, Hamilton without sidewalks. So that's all I just wanted to say, is I hope that it's going forward, I think like someone built an apartment or condos, say for example, the new ones are going to build on Johnstown, West Johnstown, they should be required to pay for sidewalks or side paths, whatever the plan is. But I didn't think it was something that property owners should necessarily have to pay for. And I think that was it. Well, I'm just going to add one more thing, that when the Everett Apartments went in on Johnstown Road, I remember talking to Planning Commission at least 3 times. You guys are going to put sidewalks in, right? Sidewalks, sidewalks, sidewalks. And every time I asked, they said, yeah, they're going to put sidewalks in. And then at the end, they didn't. They planted trees there. And I heard the reason was because we're planning to widen that part of Johnstown Road someday. But I feel like, we need to start doing it, or it's never going to get done. So that's all I had to say. And if you want to clarify me, because I'm misunderstanding things, let me know. So.
Thank you for your time, Ms. Kovacs. We do have your contact information, so we can reach out as well.
All right, thank you.
All right. Yeah.
May I speak for 3 minutes? I didn't fill out a speaker slip. I forgot tonight was a talk.
I was just going to invite you, Mrs. Hoffman.
Thank you. I will fill out the slip and give it to the clerk accordingly. Good evening, Council. My name is Brenda Hoffman. I live at 279 High Meadow Drive, Gahanna, Ohio, 43230. A number of you probably remember back when we signed paperwork with SWACO for the new recycling bins, and ultimately with the refuse company that handles the trash. So we also got larger refuse bins. We pay for those monthly, a small fee to make this go on through, perpetually. repair, all smart moves. However, not a lot of people have room in their garages for these things, so subsequently, when my fence went in 2017, I had already made a cubby because I'm a recycling freak. And my nephew is one of the owners of Rumpke, and I had gotten 5 recycling bins from him, so I'm really diligent about my recycling in Sueco. A number of my neighbors have seen that, and since you have great big hands, they all thought that would be a great idea. One neighbor started to put it in, called me and asked me what I needed to do. The contractor was there, but they were building it in front of the build line of the house, which I knew was never going to pass with the city, so I jumped up and said, no, we don't do that, don't do that. And I called. I don't think we have any permits for that. I called enforcement first. Enforcement decided to contact Ms. Wicker with the permit area, and it turned into, you got to have a fence permit to build a cubby for your trash can next to your house. Now, I personally pulled all of the contractor's posts completely out of the concrete and threw them down towards the back of the yard. When zone enforcement came out and saw it and everything, later on told me, well, I'm going to let the double fine thing go for now. And I went, now, wait a minute. I called you and asked you. You didn't come out and discover it. This is kind of ridiculous, folks. We are putting economic stress on people who are trying to keep the trash out of the rain gutters, out of the stormwater sewers, and out of the way. So I think we really need to go back. I checked with Mr. Blackford. He says, yeah, you got to, well, that's what she said. Yeah, you got to have one of those. It's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of working against the goal we all have in mind about keeping the city clean, about keeping things attractive from the street view, about helping to control what animals are getting into what, because believe me, possums will climb. They will go after my trash can no matter what I do. Cinder blocks on top, you can't see them because of my cubby. But, you know, there's a lot going on. So I kind of like somebody to look into this, and please try to make this as painless as possible because it accomplishes a goal that would benefit all of us. Does that make sense? Thank you very much, President Bowers.
Thank you, Mrs. Hoffman. All right. Is there anyone else that wishes to participate in hearing of visitors this evening? All right. Thank you so much. We will move on to the consent agenda, section E of tonight's agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as published?
So moved.
I have a first by Mr. Schnetzer.
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Weaver. Is there any discussion? Mr. Van Meter, would you please call the roll?
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
McGregor?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
Renner?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes. Motion carries and the consent agenda is approved as published. Section F of tonight's agenda, ordinances for introduction and first reading. Mr. Van Meter, would you please read ordinance 0001-2025 into the record?
An ordinance to amend the City of Gahanna Code, Part 11 zoning, Chapter Section 1117.10E1A, required improvements and declaring an emergency.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Van Meter. And just for the record, we'll note that there is a public hearing on this ordinance scheduled for March 3rd at 7 o'clock because it does relate to a change to our zoning code. And we've been advised by the administration that there's companion engineering code amendments that are forthcoming related to this as well. And I believe these do address the concerns that Ms. Kovacs perhaps raised this evening. So thank you for your time. All right, next, correspondence and actions. Mr. Van Meter.
I have nothing this evening.
Okay. Mr. Weaver?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. As a follow-up to our conversation last week regarding what I'll just call the municipal bonds tax exemption discussion item, I had reached out to Kent Scarrett with the Ohio Municipal League. He did respond. He got back in touch. The item is one that they are monitoring very closely and are working with the National League of Cities on. And so I just wanted to provide that update to my colleagues as well.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Anything else from anyone else? I have a couple items here. One, you'll note that the first city council newsletter was published last week. It is available, people are available to sign up just as they sign up for other city newsletters, so people can get greater in-depth information about what's been going on with city council and city council members. The other thing I wanted to just mention is that last week, council office received an inquiry about renaming a street. I'm in the process of obtaining more information about that request and the legislative process. It was referred to council office from the administrative department. So we'll continue to follow up with the administration and legal on that item. Next, Section H on the agenda, representatives. We'll start with Community Improvement Corporation, Mr. Renner and Ms. Padova.
The next CIC meeting will be tomorrow.
No. You didn't check your email.
Oh,
Apparently, there was, President Collins informed me this afternoon that in her talking to other members, we apparently do not have a quorum. She's not available, and a couple of people are not available, so there was an email sent out late this afternoon that the meeting will be canceled for tomorrow.
okay.
I believe the
That is
next one then
something.
will be March 18th would be the next meeting.
Okay. Then no meeting until March 18th.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the update. Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, Mr. Weaver.
Thank you, Madam President. Thanks, as always, to Clerk Van Meter and Ms. Hiltz in the council office for their assistance with the report. Certainly heard a lot about the activity at Morpsey so far this evening. The commission met on Thursday, February 15th. A couple items from the report that I did want to highlight for my colleagues. If you have not already, please let Clerk Van Meter know if you wish to attend the State of the Region on March 21st.
Our table is full, actually.
Never mind. So, you've missed the boat, and pay attention for future opportunities, I should say. So thank you, Mr. Clerk. Also included with the report, there's a link to the Central Ohio Regional Housing Survey from the Regional Housing Coalition. Encourage you to take that. It's about 5 minutes. The Morpsey and Regional Policy Roundtable have released the 2025-2026 Public Policy Agenda. There are 4 key goal areas with many sub-goals included there, including regionalism, mobility, sustainability, which we've heard lots about tonight, and prosperity and opportunity. And that is all I have for this evening.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Weaver. Convention and Visitors Bureau, Councilwoman Padova.
Thank you. The Visit Gahanna annual meeting will be held on March 18th from 5:30 to 7 at La Nirvana. And it will feature guest speaker Roy Hall Jr., motivational speaker and former NFL and Ohio State wide receiver. The tickets for a individual ticket is $35, or you can sponsor a table of 8 for $350. So please go to Visit Gahanna to purchase those tickets. Also, the Creekside Charity Chocolate Walk was on Saturday. And I am embarrassed to say that it was my first one, but it was a great time. I saw the mayor there and some neighbors, met some new new neighbors that live in our community. So it was a really good time. The weather was February in Ohio, so it was gray and moist, but I highly recommend if you have been hesitant to do it because it is February in Ohio, I highly recommend doing it because you are outside taking a walk, but you have enough stops in between to warm up and not get cold. So especially the next day, just having to stay inside with all the snow, it was really nice to get some fresh air on Saturday. So highly recommend that for next year to have it on your radar. That is all for me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Councilwoman Padova. Councilwoman Jones, School Board Report.
Yeah, so just a couple of highlights of things that happened last week. So had the opportunity to attend the Classroom to Career presentation, which was a collaboration between the school district, One Columbus, and the city. It was really interesting to see all of the industries and things that are booming in the region that can offer our students an alternative to college, so something to do post high school. So I urge everyone to take a look at it. That was tons of really great information. I do believe that it'll be available online, the district's website, at some point this week. There was also a board workshop, I believe it was the 6th, that had really valuable information about mental health resources for our students. So I know that that's a conversation that we've talked about a lot here in Chambers, even as recently as Black History Month with our presentation to Jewel Woods. So gave some great statistics regionally, but also the services that we offer here in the district and even the number of students that are engaging with those. Last year it was over 11,000 students that had individual contacts with the mental health team in the district. So something for us to continue to think about as we move forward mental health efforts in our community. Upcoming meetings, so there is a regular school board meeting this Thursday at 6:30 at Clark Hall. And then this Saturday is Gahanna Gala, the annual fundraiser hosted by the Education Foundation. That is this Saturday. There are limited tickets left, but if you can't make it to the event in person, the silent auction is online now, and everyone can participate in that for free. You just register at gjef.org.
Thank you, Councilwoman Jones. Section I of tonight's agenda, official reports. Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much. Last week, we shared the news on social media that 8 and soon to be 9 AEDs, automated external defibrillators, are being, it's much easier to say AEDs, are being installed in multiple Gahanna parks across the city. The safety of our residents, I believe we all collectively agree that the safety of our residents remains a priority for us, and the installation of this equipment in our parks will provide immediate access, not only to contact with first responders, but to emergency medical assistance at a time when it's just critical and people are at their most vulnerable. Work on the installation of the AEDs in our parks began over the last 2 years. And we talk a lot about when we come to council and we ask for a position, there's always because there's a need for that. And I would say that the installation of the AEDs in our parks is a direct outcome and benefit of the creation of the Risk and Safety Administrator position that was created in January of 2023. Since assuming that role, Melissa Jackson, she's been on it. She has been focused on identifying opportunities all over our community, not just within our city facilities, but really all over in our parks and just throughout the city, to improve safety while reducing risks, not only for our residents, but for our employees as well. Right after taking that role, Melissa immediately identified the need for AEDs in our parks, and she worked diligently for more than a year to bring this project to fruition. So I'd like to thank her. I don't know if she's watching, but I know we've talked to her before, but just to reiterate how important she has been to bringing this project to reality. But special thanks also need to go to our IT director, Renee Carter. Renee put in substantial hours in researching the technology aspects of AEDs, understanding the type of equipment that would best fit our parks, what the infrastructure needs would be, what we could accommodate within our parks, and what that best match was for what we would be able to maintain and install within our parks. Just truly that critical aspect of that project. And then finally, our incredible parks team right now, work is currently underway to ensure that those AEDs are installed and operational. So to be clear, right now they are not yet operational. The cabinets are up. They look like they're operational. They are not yet. We will announce on social media when the cabinets are ready to be used. And when active, as soon as that cabinet is open, they will immediately send a signal to dispatch. I believe there's a siren that goes off, and it will immediately connect that operator to be able to get access to a dispatcher and to emergency first responders. But right now the cabinets are there, but it's the innards that are now being installed and tested to make sure they're working appropriately. But we expect that to be happening, I believe, in the next few weeks, Director Weibensinger. And I should also add Director Weibensinger also for being instrumental in that project. His work has just been truly valuable. Moving on, Citizens Academy. Registration is now open for the 2025 Gahanna Citizens Academy. Last year's program was met with a great deal of positive feedback from the participants. We look forward to welcoming another group of residents this year. Class size is limited to 20, and applications are reviewed and approved as they come in. Even though registration will be open through February 25th, applications are reviewed on a rolling basis, so don't wait to register. Registration, as I said, will be open through February 25th or until all spots are filled. So don't lose out. Get your registration application in there now, and details can be found at gahanna.gov. This week is National Engineers Week, and a lot of times I think most of the projects that come forward in these chambers are from our engineering team. Everything from our street and sidewalk program to our major capital projects, sewer projects, water projects, replacing traffic cabinets, the water tower project, development projects. All of those are done by our team in our engineering department, a 9-member team of engineers and technicians. This week is specifically set aside for a number of reasons. It's to celebrate the contributions of engineers and technicians. It's to ensure that we have a diverse and well-educated engineering workforce, but it's also to introduce the engineering world to students in K through 12. We always talk about STEM opportunities and STEM careers. This is a perfect week to help reinforce to these up-and-coming students, even at an early age, that there are career paths available to them in math and science and other paths that can take them to engineering. Want to share news with you on a new event that's coming, Bike Repairman Day, Sunday, March 2nd. For many of you may know Denny Oswald. Denny Oswald was a longtime resident of the community. If you used to see him driving his recumbent bicycle all over the city. Denny passed away. His 80th birthday would be that weekend. And his wife, Carol, reached out to us, along with Trish Kovacs, so it's fitting that Trish is here with us today. So Carol, Trish, Director Farrell, and I have been meeting, talking about planning Bike Repairman Day. That's what Denny was truly passionate about, as making sure that kids' bicycles were safe and in a safe state of repair so that kids could use them and ride them around the community. So that day from 1 to 3 p.m. at Hanna Park, Sunday, March 2nd, Bicycle One is participating. I believe we have a few mechanics that will be on site. Bring your bikes out. It's not just for kids, it's for adults too. Bring those adult bikes out as well. They'll be taking a look at your bikes, making repairs, getting them in shape for the season. I believe we'll have some other vendors and resources and activities there as well. Our community liaison officers will be there. So it's just a fun community day. But again, even though I'm hoping it's not like this past Sunday's weather. Let's hope it's 75. It could be, but a great opportunity to start thinking about those springtime days and the chance to get out and ride bikes in the community. I had shared previously news about our procurement fair, which is being held next Thursday, February 27th. I'm excited to say it's sold out. So we have over 100 businesses will be participating in that. But if there is a small business that you are familiar with within the community, they can still participate. There is a resource summit that will be happening that day. It's an opportunity for a free workshop on marketing business certifications, a resource fair on how to gain access to some of the state loan programs and other resources, and again, networking, and also guidance on how to earn certification as a minority-owned business. So that event is 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and you can get details on that from gahanna.gov. And then finally, we are in the height of seasonal recruitment. Even though the weather belies the temperatures that are to come, it will be warm soon. So we're looking to fill a lot of seasonal positions, from camps to paddle boat folks and event folks for the summer. You can find information on that on gahanna.gov as well. But we're really excited to say we have a lot of teens who are returning, which means we're doing something right in our summer programming, that they're having a great experience and want to come back, but we can always use more. So recruit, recruit, recruit. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Jadwin. City Attorney Tamma Larison.
Thank you. All I have for you today is that the tobacco preemption litigation is set for oral argument tomorrow morning at 10:45 a.m. with the 10th District Court of Appeals, and it is live streamed on YouTube. If anybody is interested in watching that, please reach out and I can send you the link. Thank you.
I noted in Governor DeWine's proposed budget that there are a lot of the same components that are included in the local tobacco legislation. So it'll be interesting to see how this develops and if the state takes over some of these tobacco enforcement considerations that we had sought as well.
Yes.
Great. Thank you, City Attorney Tam Larson. All right, we are down to council comment. We will start with Councilwoman McGregor. Nothing tonight, thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman McGregor. Councilwoman Jones.
Yeah, just a highlight that my December-January constituent report is attached to the agenda, and that my next constituent hour is Saturday, March 8th at 11 a.m. at the library.
Great. Thank you, Councilwoman Jones. Councilman Renner.
I don't have anything to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Renner. Councilwoman Padova.
Nothing to add for me, thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you. Mr. Schnetzer.
Thank you, Madam President. I don't have any prepared remarks, but the mayor touched on something I did want to comment on it, the AEDs. Obviously, that's a big deal. I know many people have had a role in that. Thank you to everyone. When I saw the news of that, I was reminded, so as many of my colleagues up here know, I've coached football for Gahanna Lions Youth Football League for a number of years, and part of the requirement is that we are required to be a certified coach per USA Football, which it's mostly a series of online classes. It's several hours where you recognize various things from concussion protocols to heat stroke. And one of the things that they are big advocates on is every league having, they called it an emergency action plan. So EAP, part of an EAP is knowing where and how to use your AEDs. So with that said, I know that Parks occasionally hosts training for CPR and those types of things. I would just be curious if there's an opportunity down the road, maybe with some of our premier sports leagues, GSA, GJLS, the Football League, as well as Gahanna Lax, to maybe at a minimum talk to the board and perhaps extend an invite to some of the coaches for how to actually use these devices. So that's all for me.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Schnetzer. Mr. Weaver.
Thank you, Madam President. First, thank you to everyone for being here this evening, and thank you to our speakers this evening. Similarly to Mr. Schnetzer, the mayor touched on something. Mayor, you stole my thunder with SRO officer, well, then SRO Officer Blamer.
He would still appreciate it if you repeated it. It's
I do remember fondly Officer Blamer walking the halls at Gahanna when I was a student there, and he would hand out his business card to anybody who had it, and it had his, he handwrote his cell phone on it too. So thank you to Officer Blamer and all of our SROs every day, but nice to have a little recognition this evening for them. So. Also want to commend all of our staff and everyone involved for the AEDs as well. It was only a couple years ago when we had a Gahanna resident in here whose life was saved by the quick action of I don't want to say bystanders, but members of the public who knew what to do and knew where those life-saving devices were located in a public facility. So very excited to see this moving forward and getting installed. So thank you to everyone involved. Thank you very much. And that is it for me this evening.
Great, thank you. Just a few remarks for me this evening. I wanted to make sure to piggyback on Councilwoman Jones's comments about the classroom to career event. In addition to the impressive work that Gahanna Jefferson schools are doing in partnership with Eastland Fairfield and One Columbus and other organizations, one of the interesting takeaways that I wanted to share with my colleagues is that One Columbus shared that the regional median hourly rate for manufacturing jobs is now at $32 an hour, which works out to around a mid-$60,000 annual full-time salary. And so I note that because it helps us think about perhaps what our region looks like in terms of income, what our community looks like in terms of income, and potentially what options are out there, and how manufacturing jobs are hopefully coming back to our region. So I just wanted to congratulate to all who were involved with that for creating diverse pathways to successful careers for our students. I also wanted to mention that I had the privilege of attending MORPC's Data Day. There were a number of sessions that overlapped with my day job role as well, and so it was a really fantastic way for me to engage and get some information that I thought was just really useful. I would encourage my colleagues to think about going to Data Day in the future. I didn't notice any elected officials from the region at that event. It was mostly staff, municipal staff. And that was great. I thought there was great content there for staff too, but they also had multiple tracks. So they had tracks for people who were in policy development, policy leadership roles. They had tracks for people who were deep in the weeds on data. And so it was a really great session, a series of events. I would highly encourage it. One of my favorite sessions was presented by one of our regular partners, Burgess and Nipel. They presented on creating framework for evaluating infrastructure projects through a lens of community engagement, diversity, equity, and best practices. And it was just really stunning. And I was, for me, it was a good opportunity to see kind of behind the curtain at how one of our vendors, how one of our consultants engages in this work and can do it in a really effective and holistically healthy way for our community. I wanted to share another statistic from the Columbus Metropolitan Club Forum. They hosted a panel on shrinking safety nets. 18,000 people in our region are employed by the social services and nonprofit sector. So here in Central Ohio, 18,000 people are employed in that sector. The threatened federal funding cuts would have the potential to impact $150 million excised out of our local economy. So really dramatic numbers, I think, that highlight the impact of social services and that industry. All right. And then finally, I'll share my gratitude and also thanks to Renee Carter, Melissa Jackson, Parks and Rec Department, and all others involved with helping implement the placement of AEDs in our parks. I know that that is very meaningful to a lot of our residents, and so kudos and congratulations and thank you to all involved with that. And then I will end, since it is President's Day, with a few words from Thomas Jefferson. I'm not going to read the book here, but these are from his notes on the state of Virginia from 1784. Thomas Jefferson said, "An elective despotism was not the government we fought for, but one should not only be focused on free principles, but in which the powers of government should be so divided and balanced among several bodies, as that no one could transcend their legal limits, without being effectually checked and restrained by the others. For this reason, that convention laid its foundation on this basis, that the legislative, executive, and judiciary department should be separate and distinct, so that no person should exercise the powers of more than one of them at the same time." He goes on to share more about the risks and the likelihood of people in positions of power overstepping their boundaries, and shared that the time to guard against corruption and tyranny is before they shall have gotten hold on us. It is better to keep the wolf out of the fold than to trust to drawing his teeth and talons after he shall have entered. So with that, on President's Day, I call on our community members to reflect on the wisdom of our country's founders and their call to heed concentrated power, and to the Jeffersonian principles of civil rights, jealous care of the right of election by the people, and the sacred preservation of the public faith. With that, we have one final item on tonight's agenda to go into executive session under authority of 5.40A of the Council Rules of Procedure to consider the appointment of a public employee or official. And just to note, the two items for discussion are the community grant fund appointments that were discussed at last week's Committee of the Whole meeting, and also just to briefly touch on the new community authority expiring seats. I do not expect any legislation to come out of this evening. So with that, I would like to entertain a motion to go into executive session for the reasons stated on the agenda.
So moved.
I have a first by Mr. Weaver,
Second.
a second by Ms. Padova. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. Mr. Van Meter, would you please call the roll?
Weaver,
Yes.
Padova,
Yes.
McGregor,
Yes.
Renner,
Yes.
Schnetzer,
Yes.
Bowers,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes. All right, motion carries. We will adjourn into the library for executive session. And then I do not expect any legislative action to come out tonight.